Hey guys, today we're going to learn how to use Seesaw to create a student-friendly oral administration accommodation. Before we get into Seesaw, I want to show you a quick tip that might make creating an oral administration accommodation for an assessment a little bit easier for you. That tip is how to take a screen capture on a Chromebook. Now this will probably work a little bit differently if you're using your desktop Dell in your classroom, but if you choose to use your teacher-issued Chromebook, here are some instructions right here at the top of the page that'll show you how to create a screen capture. That's going to come in handy here in just a second. I'll give you a chance to read it. Now that we know how to take a screen capture on a Chromebook, which we'll use here in just a second, let's turn our attention to Seesaw. Once we log into Seesaw, select the Activities tab over here on the taskbar on the right-hand side. Once we're on the Activities tab, we'll click the Add button right here in green, and we're going to select Assign Activity. This takes us to the Activity Library. When you're starting from scratch, you'll choose this option right here that says Create New Activity. For this video, I'm going to choose this activity here that says Oral Administration that I've already created to show you a working example, and then we'll walk through how we created that. Here's an example of how this oral administration accommodation tool works in Seesaw. That way you have an idea of what we're working towards. Now, I've already created this activity and saved it, and once you save it, you can't go back and edit it any longer. So keep that in mind as you create your oral administration activity. But here's our end goal. I'll select our grade 3 mathematics assessment, DCA number 1, that we use as an example. You can see here we've taken a screen capture of the first question of the assessment, just like we did a screen capture of the cover page for page 1. We've created 2 buttons here. Each one says listen, and it does exactly what you think it does. When you click on listen, it's going to play an audio recording of the question, first part and second part. The following table lists the 2010 population of some Texas towns. Which of the following shows the towns in order from least population to greatest population? You'll notice here that we added 2 different listen buttons as opposed to playing one audio recording of the entire question and all of the answer choices. This will let the student work at their own pace and only have the reading accommodation for the parts of the question or the answer choices that they choose, and not the entire question. Now let's see how we got to that point. Like we said earlier, when you're starting from scratch, you're going to choose this option here that says Create New Activity. You'll give the activity a name. You can type instructions and add voice recording for that set of instructions if you'd like. And then you're going to come down here to Add Template for student responses. This is where the screen capture comes in handy. We'll go to our assessment, digital copy, take a screen capture if you want of the title page, not mandatory, and then go to work taking screen captures of your individual assessment items. Now the key here is to understand where on your Chromebook the device saves your screen captures. They'll probably be in a downloads folder or maybe even saved to your desktop. But once you've taken all of your screen captures, back in Seesaw, you'll choose Upload. And from here, you can either select the file from your computer, or you can always manually drag and drop if the image saves to your desktop. Once you've uploaded your file, you'll click the check mark in the green circle up here in the top right-hand corner. And Seesaw has created a slide with that screen capture. Now for this example, on slide number 1 in Seesaw, we included a screen capture of the title page. Completely up to you, not mandatory. But whenever it's time to start adding slides for our questions that we've taken individual screen captures of, we'll use this Add Page button down here in the bottom right. From here, we have 2 options to add a screen capture. We can drag and drop from our desktop, if that's where our device saves our screen captures, or we can use this camera button in this stack over here on the left and select Upload, and that will let us select a file from somewhere on our computer. For instance, if our Chromebook saves our screen captures to our Downloads folder, this might be the best option. But whether you search your computer with the camera icon over here on the left, or you use the drag and drop method, insert that screen capture on its own slide, and now we're ready to add voice recording. Once you're ready to add audio to your assessment, you've got 2 different options. You can see here we've imported our screen capture of our question. Our 2 options are this. We can choose the microphone button right here. This option is going to allow us to add 1 single audio file to this slide, which would mean we probably need to read the entire question and all of the answer choices for that 1 audio file. That would probably require the student to use the pause button more. We could also, and this one's my favorite option, use the 3 buttons right here, then select the voice button. We get the listen box. We tell it record voice. The following table lists the 2010 population of some Texas towns. Select the check mark, and it saves our voice recording to this listen button, which we can then move anywhere that we need on that item. And when the student takes the assessment, that listen button will stay right there, and they can click it and listen to only the portion of the question or only the answer choices that have that listen button next to it. Once we add our listen box and attach an audio file to it, it's got some pretty cool customizable options if you choose. Once you've reselected your listen box, you've got another button with 3 dots underneath it. That almost always means we've got options. We can change the style, which means we can change the font that appears inside the box. We can change the border or the background and text color. Probably one of the best features though is this lock feature. You'll probably want to use the lock feature. Once you customize it the way you want it, you want to hover over lock and then select lock all. That's going to lock that button to that location on the page so that when your students take the assessment, they can't accidentally or on purpose for that matter, move the listen box someplace else on the page, which could obviously confuse others. Here's a pro tip. Once you finish adding all of your listen buttons for your audio recordings and you're ready to add a new slide for a new assessment item, it's real tempting to come up here and click the check box or the check mark in the green circle. However, that's going to finalize your activity. If you have more slides for more assessment items to add, always use the Add Page button down here in the bottom right. You'll only use the check mark button when you've added all slides with all assessment items and you're ready to assign the activity to students. So for the purposes of this professional development, now that we've seen an example of how to take a screen capture, how to import a question item into Seesaw, how to add a listen button with audio recordings, we'll pretend that this activity is finished and ready to assign to students. So we'll choose the check mark in the green circle up here in the top right-hand corner. Here, if we haven't given our activity a name, we can. If we haven't provided student instructions with an audio recording of those instructions, we certainly can. Once we have both of those things labeled the way we want, we'll click the blue Save button down here in the bottom right-hand corner. Once Seesaw saves our activity, make sure that we've clicked the heart right here next to the Assign button. Once we've clicked the heart, we're ready to click the green Assign button and assign it to either certain students or the entire class. A couple of other neat features. After you've saved your activity, but before you've assigned it, if something comes to mind that you wish you would have done differently, or maybe as a PLC you're looking over it and somebody has an idea of something to add, even if you saved it, if you haven't assigned it yet, here where you're previewing your activity, in the bottom right-hand corner of that white square is a square with 3 more dots. Remember, the 3 dots always means we have options. So from here, if we do need to change something, we can go back and we can edit our activity. Once we put the finishing touches on it, here's another cool feature. We can share the activity. This way, one teacher in the PLC can create the assessment and share it with the rest of the teachers in the PLC. That way we can all take turns and share the load.